All right, today I'm going to tell you what you need to look at in a great business coach. And these are the things that my clients have told me have helped them tremendously, and you've got to be able to find in yours. Number one, before I get to these, is you got to find somebody that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. You're not looking for a friend. You're going to build a deep relationship and you have to have trust, but this person is going to tell you the things that you don't want to hear. These are going to be the things that you've got to change in your life and in business, but trust me, that friendship that you're looking for, you'll have it over time because this person will never leave your side, because ultimately they become your best friend because you know they're not telling you what you need to hear, or telling you what you want to hear. They're telling you what you need to hear to be better. And do you want to be better? Get one hell of a coach. So here's what you look for. One, they're going to help you cut through the noise. What do I mean by that? Cut through the noise is if you're busy in business, things are going on, chaos, or you're growing like crazy. What happens for you as a leader, and I know you've been there, a million things coming at you a day, and we get on a coaching call and I say, hey, what's going on? What are the key things you're working on right now? And you go through this laundry list. I go, stop, enough. You can't be working on all of that. What is the key thing that we're working on, or we got to talk about, or the thing we got to solve? And you give me three more things. And I go, that's crap. That means that you're not focused. So what a coach does is just get rid of all the noise and they get you focused on where are you going to have the most impact. All right. So then with that, you're going to have focus and clarity on what you need to work on. It's really hard to get this from somebody in the business because somebody in the business is also dealing with all that chaos and all these different issues. An outsider can cut through it and get straight to the point of what you think is the best thing we need to work on. And the other part is that coach is not going to solve your problems. If you have a coach that's solving your problems for you, you've hired a consultant, not a coach. The coach is going to help you get to that issue or that problem and then solve it with you by asking you questions. All right. The second one is accountability. They are going to be the sole person that holds you accountable. And this coach can hold you accountable in your personal life, in your wellness, how you eat, how you work out, how you feel, or in the business. Because as a leader, when you're the top dog, regardless of how big your business is, nobody really holds you accountable. Everybody's reporting to you and nobody's going to tell you, hey, Timmy, you're getting fat. You need to go start working out. Do they? No. They want their job. But you know what? If you're working out and you're feeling good and your home life's good, guess what? Business is going to be even better. A coach is going to be well-rounded and hold you accountable to make sure you're doing the best things for you and for the business. The third is team alignment. This is huge because at times as a leader, especially when you own a large business and you have a big leadership team and you depend so much on them, the team alignment, sometimes you're afraid, or afraid might not be the word, but you are reluctant to really push hard on some leaders because they've either worked for you so long or they do so much for you. And team alignment is absolutely where everything comes together. If you have an aligned team, you can get anything done. If that team starts falling apart, there's no strategy, there's no plan that can get a team or work better than a team that's aligned. So a coach is going to help you get that alignment. And two, ask a lot of questions about your leadership and how accountable they're being and what they're doing and maybe ways you could push them and get them to another level. So that team alignment is huge. The fourth, scalable and systems. So as an owner, you should always, as a visionary, you should always be thinking about what's next. And that coach is going to pull you out of the day-to-day to think about the bigger long-term things you got going on and then put systems in place. Because when you put systems in place into an organization, guess what? Now you as the owner can remove yourself. You can remove yourself from that day-to-day tasks of the business. Be more strategic and think about those long-term strategies so you can truly scale and do things today that are going to help us in a year or 3 years. But when you put those systems in place, now the leaders and the other important people throughout the organization can now run the business on a process and a system that's in place. It doesn't just need you. The next is blind spots. This is where a coach becomes your best friend. They tell you your blind spots and they're not scared about it. And if you've got a coach that's not telling you your blind spots, or you don't feel like they're being incredibly frank, or you get off of a phone call and you're like, I didn't really get much out of that phone call. You should, every time you get off a coaching call or a timer with your coach, feel, wow, I've got something I got to work on, or wow, I didn't see that blind spot. I didn't see that I was doing that, or I didn't know that about myself. That is their job, to uncover these areas just to make you a greater leader. And some of you might be thinking, I've got all this stuff covered. Well, let me back up a little bit before I go to all the rest. Think about the greatest athletes. Think about Michael Jordan. Think about Tom Brady. How many coaches did they have? They had coaches in every area. Mental coach, physical coach. They had a coach on the court or on the field. They had a coach because going through this by yourself, you can never push yourself to that highest level. But if you have somebody on your team that keeps pushing you farther than you ever thought you could be, that's a darn good coach. So the next is decisions. As a leader, when you're leading an organization and you're at the top, the hardest is when you have a decision that you got to make in a pressure. The key word here is in a pressure situation. I don't know about you, but for me, I've made some bad mistakes under pressure. And the reason I made the mistakes and I went forward is because I didn't have somebody to go to bounce these ideas off of, or bounce all the issues off of. I talk to people in my organization. Well, usually their perspective is very similar to mine, or they default to whatever I think is right when I was a CEO and a leader. Well, a coach isn't going to do that. He or she knows you're under pressure, and helping you make some great decisions and asking questions during that time would be worth all the money in the world, that you don't make that bad decision that you've made before in the past when the pressure's on. And the last is a confidential sounding board. Man, being at the top, you know how it feels. Nobody knows. The only person that knows how you feel is the person that owns the business right down the street from you. Because it is a thankless job. It is a job that has more stress than any other job. And you have the worry of all of the people in your organization. So if you can sit and have a confidential conversation of just how you're feeling, and sometimes this has nothing to do with the business. This is just what's going up in your head, or the stress that's in your shoulders. You have somebody to talk to about that. That release alone to your coach can be something that frees you from hitting that ceiling that you just couldn't go any further, or you were struggling getting an answer, or all of a sudden you weren't creative enough. It's having this outlay to be able to vent and to be able to get that stuff out of your system. So if you don't have a coach today, you're watching this video, it's hit home, I can be that guy. I will kick your ass as a coach. And I'm telling you, if you want ass kicking, you give me a call.